Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be doing a metagame breakdown for the best decks for the standard best of one qualifier weekend play-in, which is occurring today. So you'll be able to try to get your qualifier badge, play in the qualifier weekend itself next week, which will be standard best three. So this will be kind of the metagame breakdown for best of one standard that we usually do weekly, but kind of a day earlier because of the event today. So there's a lot of cool decks going on right now in standard post-ban. We're getting all the data from Untapped.gg, what you see on the screen. If you want to use Untapped to see stats, track your own win rates, a whole bunch of stuff, link is in the video description. All these deck lists will be in the video description as well. If you want to copy and paste while you're there, make sure to hit the sub button if you like to keep up to date with all the trends in terms of metagame analysis. Particularly going to be helpful once we get rotation in a couple weeks. If you need to find new decks, we'll be here probably the earliest to kind of share what the new decks, what the new format looks like. So let's jump into it. Popularity of the day, Diamond and Mythic rank, Selesnya Rabbits, most played deck at about 9%. It's relatively flat, nothing in double digits, which is nice compared to some of the previous formats where it was just, you know, this is a red deck, but we splash one card, so now it's Rakdos type decks. Dinosaur Combo, Reanimator 7%, Mono Black Midrange 6%, Mono White Lifegain 5, Azorius Control 4, Izzet Prowess kind of VV decks at 4, Landfall at 4. We still have some representation for Mono Red kind of mixed into there. Seeing most like the Dinosaur Combo kind of fall off in play rate. Still can win as early as turn 3, but people might be a little bit more prepared for it. So in the last week, we've had 120,000 games played from Diamond and Mythic rank in best of one. Highest win rate deck is Azorius Control. So this deck here is going to look to just answer a lot of the threats. One card that's not in here, which I do like in the Azorius Control shells, is Conceal's Flanker. Gives you a 3 mana way to instant speed exile, and a pinch can gain you some life. It's a flash blocker. It's got a lot of utility in terms of what it can do. This one here, you have like Overlord at the top end as a win condition, some dragons, Hornlock Whale, as well as Bazes to help you stabilize, and an Elspeth. Ultima is the sweeper. I still think Sunfall might be reasonable, but in best of one there is the Synth deck, which just hitting Synth just absolutely annihilates them. Ride's End in here is cheap removal, Stock Up refills your hand, and then things like Lockdown as another cheap sweeper. Play Day of Judgment as another sweeper, but this one's doing the 3 to 5 kind of jump. A bunch of cheap interaction, 3 steps ahead to kind of catch you up, and then Soul Partition just kind of catch all removal. You have ways to kind of interact with lands with Demolition Field, Fountain Port as a utility land, as well as Restless Anchorage. Selesnya Rabbits, 65%. So this deck here is looking to just kind of swarm your opponent. The worst matchup for this was Mono Red before, so this one helps. So this deck here, you have really strong 1-drops that synergize together. So Valley Might Callers just scales. This coming out on turn 1 is just really impactful. You could go like turn 1 this, turn 1 double 1-drop, into turn 3 hop to it. That's 5 power additional that you add to it. So then you just casually have a 1 mana 6/6 trampler. Burrow Guard Mentor just scales really well with the wide board, gets really big. Phineas can distribute counters, draw you cards. Sheltered's a removal in the deck. Valley Quest Caller kind of both the Lord effect, but also helps shape your draw. So, you know, if you're at 3-4 lands, you don't want any more lands, you just kind of push them away. Hop to it. War Leader's Call, a War and War Leader, kind of a payoff for go wide boards, another kind of Anthem effect, and Knight Errant of Eos as a way to kind of refill your hand. Honestly, if you have them, this is going to rotate, but I would sooner probably play 3, like invert these numbers. Just refilling your hand's important with this deck because you don't really have card advantage in this deck outside of Phineas, which has some requisite like power requirements in order to kind of pop off. We got the alt if you want the Final Fantasy brush land. You can get that art now. It came to Arena. And then just some of the utility lines. So putting counters on things with the Oaken Hollow Village and Lupin Flower as some card advantage in there. Izzet Cauldron. So this is a combo version of the deck. So you have VV in here, and if you put a VV under the Agatha's Soul Cauldron, any creature you control that has a counter on it basically gets VV's mana generation ability. Most of those creatures will likely have higher base power anyways than VV, so you can start chaining through a whole bunch of mana. If you have 2 VVs, you get 2 activations of that mana ability because it sees it as each instance. This deck here is just a bunch of draw discard, so Mako could get really big. You have FOMO, Prof's Edict puts a bunch of counters on it, same with Tursa. So the core of the deck, you're kind of churning through your deck, getting a whole bunch of value with that there, Winter Night Story, stuff like that. Eventually you'd put a Thrill Seeker under your Cauldron. So either getting a bunch of extra combat steps, or then you just start flinging your big creatures at your opponent that way there. So it's kind of a cool interaction there. You have Flood Maws, Abrades, kind of cheap interaction in that case. In best of 1, honestly, you might want Torch the Tower over Abrade, just as a... There's not as many artifacts. This is kind of a remnant of the Quarry meta. But like other than the synth deck, there's not many. Just having more 1 mana removal could be useful. So then we have Rakdos aggro, Squint, Rakdos. You're playing 1 Blazemire Verge, so it's Rakdos. But this is mono Red Fling, so kind of going away from the Mice package. You're back on Slick Shot, Swiss Spear. You have Scamp, no Heartfire Hero, but Felliness Rage is pumped, Mirror and Bane Splitter is pumped, Turn Inside Out, Wild Ride, Demonic Ruckus. There's Red Mage's Rapier, so just another kind of build your own Slick Shot show off equipment. So job selects and then gets +2/0 whenever you cast non-creature, and then you would just fling it. So Calisel Sword. Some folks were asking the other day why this over Self-Destruct. This is 1 mana, Self-Destruct is 2 mana. So pretty much just efficiency on that. You're playing a low land count deck, you just want to be able to spam as many spells as possible. So 4 color dinos, so this is a combo reanimator deck. So how it works, early game, kind of best play on turn 2 is Invasion of Urgamon. You have Collector's Vault, Seize the Spoil, just draw a discard. Put Dinosaur into Graveyard. If you are very good, you will Surveil Dinosaur into Graveyard. And then you Zombify or Rakdos joins up, brings it into play. Gishath or Tali are 2 of the better ones, as well as Galta if you can have dinosaurs in your hand. This pulls into play more dinosaurs, you just kind of overwhelm your opponent. If you have Rakdos joins up, you can Legend Rule your dinosaurs when they come into play, and then just deal additional damage. So, big dub dinos, it's just very much, do I have my Zombify on turn? If you're my opponent, you always have it on turn 3. If I would play this deck, I would go 52 cards deep, and the last 8 cards would be Zombify and Rakdos joins up, but that's neither here nor there. We have mono green Tifa Landfall. So this is a deck that's trying to double up powers and just kind of kill your opponent very quick. So Tifa Lockhart doubles its power whenever a land comes into play. Mossborn Hydra doubles the amount of counters on it. Traveling Chocobo. I almost said Kokobo and then people canceled me again. But let's play lands off top of your library, and then doubles landfall triggers. So this works here. So with these here, with like Bristly Bill, you can also put counters. You have these fetch lines in quotations, Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage, Escape Tunnel, all ways to basically get extra landfall triggers into place. And then you have protection effects, hard-hitting questions as removal, Snakeskin Veil's protection. Ordeal and Nylea works nice because most of these creatures are going to have counters on it through things like Mossborn Hydra naturally, Bristly Bill. So then this just pops and gets you more tokens. Same with the little baby Chocobo here. Spring Broom Druid just comes in and basically you sack a land and then put 2 lands into play. So it just is another kind of channel style effect in terms of generating you more mana. More even, the mana increase is not as impactful as much as the landfall triggers in this deck. Dimir Midrange, so kind of the stockish midrange deck. A lot of the decks are picking up Saiba Cryptomancer in best of 3. This is protection effect, but it's notably a ninja, and you can kind of put counters. So Kaido's plus ability works nicely here. It's just hard to interact with, so it's something that you can cheat out Kaido with. Cecil in here is cheap early drop. Spyglass Siren, you have Mastermind Drowner, so kind of a tempo-oriented pseudo flash deck. Bunch of cheap removal in here. Curiosity refills your hand. You have Tishana's Tidebinder. In best of 3, you see Faebloom Trick, I think is the name. The 3 mana. Tap something, make 2 fairies. That's really good in the mirror, which is not as prominent in best of 1. Mono white life gain 60%, so kind of the starter deck. So I'm going to make the judgment call. First off, don't play Day of Judgment in your creature deck. You're all creatures. This is a trap that a lot of newer players kind of run into where, hey, I'm going to find a better list, but it'll be there. The kind of core, most of the lists don't play Sarah Paragon. Get rid of Day of Judgment, play 22 lands in this deck. But they try to have like edge cases. My opponent's ahead on board. You're a creature deck. You're just going to try to overwhelm, and you gain life to outpace. But you have your kind of a Johnny Pridemate style creatures here that both get bigger when you gain life. Bunch of ways to gain life, whether on ETB or just on attacks. You have Shelter by Ghost as your removal. Linden's a bunch of life gain triggers on attack. Leyline is kind of an anthem effect that also can gain you extra life. If you have more exemplars, these are also nice just as a kind of card advantage engine. Or Knight Errant of Eos is another card that sometimes sees play in these types of decks, but I will find a cleaner version of this deck here. I don't think these numbers. You can't play this many 4s. I know this one's kind of free, but with 19 lands, even some of this curve, you're not. In my mono red aggro decks, I play 20 to 22. Mono black midrange. So this is the demon version. So here, it's basically Oops All removal, followed by kind of the combo. You have Disruption as well in Duress and Deep Cavern Bat and Liliana to eat at your opponent's hand. The combo is a one-shot. If you have Unstoppable Slasher, deal damage with a Bloodletter out, it one-shots your opponent. Archfiend to Dross, also a demon that plays nice with Unholy Annex to draw you cards and drain out your opponent that way there. Shoot the Sheriff, Edict, Nowhere to Run. One card you may want to consider is the black 2-mana sorcery. Opponent sacks a creature, and then you exile their graveyard. It could be reasonable in best of one. Azorius Synth, mentioned this a couple times, but we have Simulacrum Synthesizer. So this cares about artifacts with mana value 3 CMC or more coming into play. So this will let you create constructs. Repurposing bays like Birthing Pod, for those familiar with the card, that lets you tutor up stuff. So it turns these smaller ones into more synths or goes up the chain. United Battlefront helps you find all these pieces. You have 3 mana kind of Detention Sphere, Oblivion Ring style effects, and Aegis, as well as Perleus Snare that can exile stuff. This deck is very expensive wildcard wise for very niche cards, so keep that in mind. There's going to be a new temporary lockdown in the new set that's an artifact, kind of similar effect, which works pretty nice and would also trigger synth. Then these just early removal, Clayfire Bricks helps you ramp, or like find lands, gains you some life. 3 steps ahead can copy the synth at the instant speed, which is cool. And then you just kind of go up the curve. You have Riptide Gearhawk, Nexus of Becoming. Sometimes you'll see Solemn Simulacrum just as a way to bridge, because right now you don't have a 4 to go up the chain to kind of get ahead. So Dimir Control, they're calling it Dimir Dragons, but not really a Dragons deck. So Strategic Betrayal was the card I was mentioning in Mono Black. This is just tons of removal, counters, Don't Make a Sound as a cheap counter spell, bunch of cheap removal mixed into here. You're winning basically with Jace Mills or Breach the Multiverse. You can just steal their stuff with Deadly Cover-Up out of their deck. You have Restless Reef and Fountain Port as additional win conditions, but Meringue is also, I guess, a win condition on its own. But just to answer your opponent over and over again, the End is a nice kind of card against some decks just to steal more win conditions out of them, but just kill everything, stock up, and then Breach Jace will win that way there. So Delirium didn't show up in the Diamond and Mythic, just in terms of volume. It's the deck I got to Mythic with. I don't have all my stats because it was on an iPad, but this is the version from Platinum. I'm not on Terra or Ominous Flytrap or the Summon Brahinders. I'm lower to the ground. I'm playing Overprotect in mine. This one's a little bit more mid-rangey focused, just in terms of the deck, but I like the all-in kind of double strike Overprotect. You could push more damage through. This is another version of the deck. Summon Brahinder does give haste with the Ominous Flytrap, so then you get some value there. Someone's playing like Esper Origin, so it's a little bit slower. I do like Keen-Eye Curator. Best of one's just a flexible card, can eat out your opponent's graveyard and become really big on its own. You'll see things like Seed of Hope to fill your graveyard, Bushwhack. Personally, I only like 3 Violent Urges. It's only good once you get going. And then Like that's usually the balance. Like especially without Overprotect, it's not as relevant. You're not playing as many trample cards in the deck. Overprotect plays really nice with these bigger creatures. And then lastly, just want to show a version of the tokens deck, the Caretaker's Talent. This one from Uleister's profile. They went 120 and 73 into Mythic. So this deck here is just kind of a take on the Caretaker's Talents decks. Play tokens and get value. We see this one kind of teched for best of one with Ghost Vacuum in the main. Exercise is kind of flexible. Removal. Builder's Talent can rebuy stuff. Notably, no Carrot Cake in this one. I would probably still consider Carrot Cake. This one's just got more removal. So we see Split Ups, Temporary or Day of Judgments, and Ultima and Sunfall. So just really heavy on the sweepers. Just nothing is going to survive from your opponent's side. And then just a bunch of Planeswalkers on the top end. You could play Sunken Citadel as well. That just plays nicely with the Demolition Fields and the Fountain Ports. You could play Laydown Arms as another option, just cheap removal in that context there. So that is it. Good luck to those playing, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.